15 doctors couldn't save a dying mafia boss, until a delivery mom walked in and saved his life. The heart monitor screamed before anyone in the room could. A long, violent spike, then a terrifying drop. Clear. The shock jolted through his body, lifting him inches off the hospital bed. Machines beeped wildly. Nurses rushed. A senior cardiologist wiped sweat from his forehead. Nothing. Again. Another shock. Still nothing. 15 of the best doctors in the city stood in that room, cardiologists, surgeons, specialists flown in overnight. Men and women who had saved thousands of lives. But none of them could save his. Because the man lying on that bed wasn't just any patient. He was Victor Salazar, a name that made politicians nervous, businessmen obedient, and enemies disappear. And now, he was dying. Outside the ICU, silence felt heavier than fear. Armed guards lined the hallway. No one spoke above a whisper. Even the hospital staff avoided eye contact. Victor Salazar wasn't just powerful. He was untouchable. Until now. A man in a black suit paced near the glass wall, his jaw clenched tight enough to crack bone. Luca Romano. Victor's right-hand man. Loyal, ruthless, feared, and completely helpless. What's happening in there? He snapped as another doctor stepped out briefly. The doctor hesitated. We're doing everything we can. That's not an answer. The doctor swallowed. His heart is failing. We've tried every intervention. If he doesn't respond soon. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. Luca turned away, fists trembling. Victor wasn't supposed to die like this. Not in a hospital bed. Not surrounded by machines. Not alone. Across town, in a much smaller world, someone else was fighting a different kind of battle. Mom, are you coming back soon? A little boy's voice echoed through a cracked phone screen. Soon, baby, the woman said softly, adjusting her helmet. I just have one last delivery. You promised movie night. I know. And I'll be there. Save me a seat, okay? The boy smiled. Okay. The call ended. Aisha tightened her grip on the handlebars of her small delivery bike. Life hadn't been easy. A single mother. 2 jobs. Rent overdue. Bills stacked like quiet threats on her kitchen table. But she kept moving. Because stopping wasn't an option. Her phone buzzed again. Urgent delivery. City General Hospital. She frowned slightly. Hospitals usually meant long waits, complicated instructions, and tired staff who barely noticed her. But urgent orders paid more. And tonight, every extra dollar mattered. All right, she whispered to herself. One last run. Back at the hospital, tension was reaching its breaking point. Inside the ICU, Victor's condition was collapsing. Blood pressure dropping. We're losing him. Prepare another shock. Luca couldn't take it anymore. He pushed past security and forced his way into the room. Save him, he shouted. Do whatever it takes. We are. One doctor snapped, frustration finally breaking through professionalism. But his body isn't responding. Victor's chest rose weakly, then fell, then barely moved at all. For a moment, everything slowed. The machines, the voices, time itself. At that exact moment, downstairs, Aisha stepped through the hospital entrance. She adjusted the insulated delivery bag on her shoulder and approached the reception desk. Delivery for ICU, she said politely. The nurse barely looked up. Leave it there. It says urgent. I need a signature. The nurse sighed, pointing vaguely toward the elevators. 3rd floor. Aisha hesitated. Hospitals always made her uneasy. But rules were rules. She headed toward the elevator. Upstairs, chaos continued. Charge to 200. Clear. The shock hit. Victor's body jerked again. Flatline. A long, unbroken sound filled the room. No peaks. No rhythm. Just nothing. A nurse covered her mouth. Another looked away. One of the senior doctors slowly lowered his hands. I'm calling it, he said quietly. No. Luca's voice cut through the room like a blade. The doctor looked at him. There's nothing more we can do. I said no. 2 guards stepped forward, unsure whether to intervene. But Luca didn't move, didn't blink. You don't get to stop, he said, his voice shaking now. Not him. Silence. Heavy. Final. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding. Aisha stepped out onto the 3rd floor. The atmosphere hit her immediately. Tense. Cold. Different. She walked down the hallway, following signs toward ICU. As she got closer, she heard voices. Raised, urgent. Then she saw them. Men in suits. Security everywhere. Doctors standing outside a room with expressions she recognized too well. The look people had when hope was slipping away. She slowed her steps. Something didn't feel right, but she kept walking. Inside the ICU, the decision had been made. Time of death hovered on the edge of being spoken. Wait. The voice didn't belong to any doctor. Or any guard. It was soft, uncertain, but it cut through everything. All heads turned. Aisha stood at the doorway, still holding her delivery bag. I think I can help. For a second, no one reacted. Then confusion spread. Who are you? A doctor asked sharply. I'm just here for delivery, she stammered. But, I heard what you said. About his heart. Luca stared at her like she was invisible. Get her out, one of the guards muttered. But Aisha didn't move. She stepped closer instead. My mother had something like this, she said, her voice steadier now. Her heart stopped. Doctors said it was over. The lead cardiologist frowned. This isn't the same. She survived, Aisha said. That made him pause. How? He asked despite himself. Aisha hesitated, glancing at Victor. He doesn't just need his heart restarted, she said quietly. He needs his body to respond. That's exactly the problem, another doctor replied. It isn't responding. Aisha nodded slowly. Because sometimes, it's not just physical. The room fell silent again. Luca stepped forward. What are you saying? Aisha met his gaze. I'm saying, sometimes people let go. The words landed heavier than expected. Doctors exchanged uneasy looks. We're dealing with cardiac failure, one of them insisted. And I'm not arguing that, Aisha replied gently. But I've seen it before. My mother. She stopped fighting. And you think he's doing the same? Luca asked. Aisha looked at Victor, at the stillness of his face. The weight of years written in lines no machine could read. I don't know him, she admitted. But, does he have something to come back to? No one answered, because no one in that room had ever asked that question. Luca's jaw tightened. He has everything, he said. Aisha shook her head slightly. That's not what I asked. Silence again. Then, quietly, no, Luca said. The word surprised even him. Aisha took a small step closer to the bed. Then let me try something. This is a hospital, not a, one doctor started. But Luca raised a hand. Let her. The doctors hesitated. This was absurd, unprofessional, illogical. But logic had already failed. 15 experts had failed. What did they have left to lose? Aisha placed her delivery bag on a nearby table. She walked to Victor's side slowly, almost carefully, as if approaching something fragile. She didn't touch the machines. Didn't adjust anything. She simply looked at him. Then, gently, she took his hand. It was cold, heavy, unresponsive, but she held it anyway. I don't know who you are, she said softly. And I don't know what you've done. The room held its breath. But I know this, she continued. Someone, somewhere, needs you. No reaction. Just the steady, flat tone of the monitor. Aisha swallowed. My son needs me, she said. Every day. Even when I'm tired. Even when I feel like I can't go on. Her voice trembled, but didn't break. And if I stopped, if I gave up, he wouldn't understand why I didn't fight to come back. Still nothing. But she tightened her grip slightly. So if there's even one person, one memory, one reason. Her voice softened to almost a whisper. Don't leave them behind. For a moment, nothing changed. The monitor stayed flat. The room stayed silent. The doctors remained still. Luca didn't breathe. Then, a sound. Faint. Barely there. Beep. One small spike appeared on the screen. A nurse gasped. Wait. Another beep. Then another. Irregular. Weak. But there. He's responding. Someone shouted. Get ready. Doctors rushed back into action. Charge again. Clear. The shock hit. And this time, the monitor came alive. A rhythm. Unstable. Fragile. But real. He's back. Energy exploded through the room. Orders. Movement. Hope. And in the middle of it all, Aisha stepped back quietly. No one noticed at first. Except Luca. He looked at her. Really looked at her. Not as a delivery worker. Not as an outsider. But as the reason Victor Salazar was breathing again. He started. But Aisha just shook her head. I have to go, she said softly. My son is waiting. And before anyone could stop her, she picked up her bag, turned around, and walked out of the room.